Welcome to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Karen Eldad. Settle in. We're about to make you feel really good. Welcome back to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Karen Eldad. And today I want to ask you a question. Would you like to start a business? Would you like to scale your existing business? Would you like to become more visible in business? Believe it or not, those are the topics that are on absolutely everyone's mind and should be. I've been talking ad nauseum on all of my channels about the necessity in the age of AI, necessity to start a business, to scale a business, and to get really, really good at business. And so today in our Coaching Master Series, I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to the one, the only, the biggest business expert on the internet as far as I'm concerned, who will edify you in this domain, and that is Jasmine Star. It is such a pleasure to have you here, Jasmine.
Karen, thank you. I am so happy to be here. I'm happy to serve, and I'm an open book. So whatever you want to ask, I will reply and respond with my greatest intention to elevate other people.
I'm really delighted to hear this. This series has been dedicated to really masterful teachers, to the best of the best, for the best of the best, because you know this audience is the best of the best.
Absolutely.
And what we want to teach them is not only what people teach and how people teach, but also most importantly, why the best teachers in the world do what they do. And that's what we'd really like to deep dive in on. I want to tell people that you are the CEO of Social Curators. You are a business strategist. You're a world-class speaker, and you are the host of the Jasmine Star Show, which is the podcast on which I had the privilege of meeting you and from which we began and sprung our budding friendship.
Yeah.
So it's a real joy to see you. I truly believe that you are the best in class in this teaching ordinance. I have not yet experienced for myself your cohorts, but I will. I'm pretty sure I will. And I really want to talk to you as a peer who doesn't actually dabble in that particular category, but who's very familiar with that category. Like you, I am a cohort junkie. And I've worked with many of some of the best, well, considered to be the best teachers in the world, and I've emerged with very strong opinions. So let's have a really easy and flowy conversation. Let's show people behind the curtain, and let's have a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. So talk to me about intention. After somebody listens to the show, what do you hope? I work really good with goals. You know me by now, Karen.
That's true.
You know, I'm very like, okay, focus. How do we serve? So at the end of the show, what would you want somebody to do? Because you're a coach. And so what do you want to know from me? How do we know we serve people well? How do we know this episode was like?
For me, the most important thing for absolutely anyone listening to anything that I do is clarity. To emerge out of a phase where they're a little bit aimless, they're a bit out of shape in their intentions. They are not actually clear on their goal. They're much clearer not only on their goal, but possibly on a few first steps to attain it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I love that. I mean, girl, that's my love language. Let's go.
That's awesome. And I really want to introduce people to the teacher that might be the right teacher for them. This is the most important thing. None of us covers it all. And if you ever teach or find a teacher who thinks that they do everything for everyone, run in the opposite direction. And so it's really important for us to have the government covered for people. And I think that's sort of where this kind of fits for me, which is why I always ask, where do you think you fit on the coaching continuum? Which is why I'd like to ask you, where do you think the big win is for the audience in listening to you? Why should they tune into the Jasmine Star podcast?
That's precisely an alignment because I'm all about activation and first steps. The hardest step is literally step one. And then the next hardest step is not 1 to 2. Where I see a lot of burgeoning, starting, and even growing entrepreneurs is getting to step 1 and then immediately thinking about step 7, which is stopping them from taking from step 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So they're thinking about the future, and I'm always cautioning, no, let's go back to 1 and only focus on step 2. And then only focus on step 3. I don't want to think about anything else other than the step right in front of us, because anything beyond that is going to stop you, it's going to slow you, or it's going to overwhelm you. And in all 3 of those situations, you're done before you even got started.
I love that you said that, because the quote that always ran through my mind from the minute I met you is Madonna's, one of my favorite Madonna lyrics. Oh, I'm a huge Madonna fan. And as you get to know me, it's like obsession level. rivaled only by my newfound love for Taylor Swift. And it's those who run seem to have all the fun. I always thought of you ever since I started to be introduced to your show and became a follower, which is well before I met you, that you are one of those people who didn't have any difficulty with that start. You're just out the gate and you're out and running. I'd love some clarification around this. So let's begin at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I love asking people what their background story is. How did you come to be the person that you are? What was your childhood and upbringing like? And then how do you start to move into the space that ultimately becomes where you are? Now, I've learned a little bit about you just by listening to the show. And that is that you went to law school, then you dropped out, then you become a world-class photographer. And then after that, you begin to create a marketing agency, which ultimately becomes a mastermind, a business mastermind cohort business. Am I right about the trajectory?
Absolutely. One thing that would probably would set the audience very well is I am the daughter of an immigrant. My father's from Mexico. My mother is from Puerto Rico. And being the eldest daughter of 5 children and daughter of an immigrant will kind of just parlay. It's like, oh, deep responsibility, deep drive. I have opinions around opinions. I once heard a quote that the man of the house is the firstborn daughter. That's the energy.
We have this in common, right?
Yes, I do.
We're daughters of immigrants, and we are the eldest.
That's right. And so we know what we want, and we want what we know. So that kind of will set the frame for why and how the iterations occurred. Now, the only amendment what happened in 2023, my husband and I, my business partner, my high school sweetheart, my whole world, we created a holding company. And so what we have are a series of offers and companies underneath the holding company, each with its own LLC and each with its own president. Yeah. And so what happened was Social Curator was a SaaS offering for small business owners. Then we created the Consistent 10K. And that is to empower business owners how to create a digital offer for consistent 10K months. And we also have the mastermind. But each of these entities are sitting underneath our holding company because I also serve as an advisor and investor to other companies. So I'd say half the companies are running on digital offers that are going to allow us to have the revenue to take our time for longer term investments, maturations, and me sitting as an advisor. So that's like the fuller picture of where we are now in 2026.
So you rise in an immigrant family. And that clearly informs your desire to expand beyond the circumstances that are not usually up and running for most of us, because we have very hardworking parents who are trying to get by, trying to acclimate. So we learn a lot in contrast to that experience. And this informs your early life where you just go, law school is not for me, let's have some fun. Didn't that piss them off a little bit?
My parents my dad had said, if something makes you unhappy, quit. So I casually joke, but I'm also very serious. I come from a family of quitters. And he had always said that he had to take up to 4 jobs at a single time to do whatever it took to put food on the table. And he understood the deep profundity of being unhappy and yet having responsibilities for his family, that he said the reason he came to this country was for optionality. And so he raised his kids by saying, get out, get out, get out. He's like, as long as it's happy. So for me to go to law school, like my parents never went to college. And so for them, I have a twin sister. So the 2 of us went to college and they were like, this is literally the American dream. And then we graduated. I graduated at the top of my class and I earned a full ride scholarship to law school. That was so far beyond anything in their capacity to imagine. But similarly, I thought that education meant a key and a passport to get out from where I was. Yeah. And it doesn't always work that way. And so sometimes you can have education and then you get stuck on a track that you become your own highest ceiling. And so when I was first introduced to entrepreneurship, I didn't think that I could start a business. That was never even in my purview. I thought that the way you became a success was you put on heels and you go to the top floor of a building in Los Angeles and then you work. And then all of a sudden, when my mom had a relapse with brain cancer, I thought to myself, I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to do those things. And that's my first juncture of saying, do I take the narrow road and start a business? And I wanted to become a photographer and I didn't own a camera. And most people would probably have parents that would say, what are you thinking? That's like saying, oh, I want to go run in the Olympics. Like to them, it's the same. Most parents might say, well, let's think about this, complete law school. And for my parents, it was the complete antithesis. I'll never forget inviting my dad to dinner in West Los Angeles at an Italian restaurant. I look across from him and I said, Papi, I'm so unhappy. I'm struggling with depression. And my dad looked across from me and said, Mija, leave. who cares? I said, Dad, but everybody at church, they threw a party for me. And there's so much pride in seeing one of their own traverse East Los Angeles to West Los Angeles. That is like the Southern California dream. And he said, leave.
Yeah.
And so with that, I left.
What a blessing. What a huge blessing. But your mom's relapse also factored into this.
Absolutely.
Because you start to have a very different understanding of time.
Absolutely. I was 25 and she was 50.
Yeah.
I had a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Because I said, if I'm 50, I don't want to die a lawyer. I don't want to die making decisions based on what I thought I should be doing.
Exactly. And that's when you started to move in a completely new and radically free direction. And so the first foray just followed a hunch. You were interested in photography?
Yes, I was interested in photography and I didn't have a camera and I said I loved it. And if I could find a way to make money, then this is the thing I want to do. And thankfully I have a partner, a life partner who, you know, he drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, I don't want to go back. Like, I don't want to go back. So I'd originally left to take care of my mom. And then I wanted to get married because I wanted her to see me get married. I had been dating my husband for about 9 years at that time.
Wow.
And I know, I'm a slow mover. Okay, I'm a slow mover. You had said, Jasmine, you take quick action. I was like, girl, we have to unpack that.
But you were young.
I was very young. I was
So
very
technically, like when I met Ryan when I was 40, we're working against the clock.
Okay, that's true. That is true. But the difference between myself and my twin sister is she's a very quick activator. And then she kind of like peters out without having a lot of support around her. I'm like that slow. And the minute I am all in, and this is how I am with friendships. It's like, we get to know each other and then slowly we build time and trust and communication. And now I'm like, if you say we ride at dawn, I'm like, let's go, girl. I'll be there.
I'll bring the horses
and the cafecito. Yes.
Yeah, I'll bring the coffee. I love it. I really like people hearing this because there are a couple of factors in life that push you into where you're supposed to go. And then your job is to understand what your preference is and not make too much of a fuss about it. Literally ask yourself the question, if I can figure out how to make money doing this, would I continue to do this? I think that's really very useful to people because so many people have too much spilches. That's a Yiddish word for problems. In getting going, they think that this needs to be some kind of a Catholic marriage choice. We make a decision that will now reflect upon the rest of our life. It's not that way. It's literally, I want freedom. I want another degree of expression. And I'm going to go with the thing that calls my name first. How does that evolve, though, into the several LLCs, P.S., love the corporate structure that you and JD have created? And we are going to talk a little bit about the importance of them and the blessing of a marriage.
Absolutely.
As well.
And, so what happened was I built a photography business in my first year of business and earned $100,000. And I say that, and some people hear that and be like, not a big deal. But I say that primarily because my father in his entire life hadn't made $100,000 with a family of 7.
Yeah.
And so doing that in a year, it blew open my conscious awareness of what was available to me. And my first thought was, I'm rich. I am so rich. And that to me was the first time that I understood that money was just a tool. Yeah. That you go after something so much because you don't have. And then the tools served me well, Karen. And then we started expanding the business and we created digital offers for photographers. And we would wake up in the morning and then we would see money. And I'm like, and to be clear, people are saying, yeah, but Jasmine, you're going from step 1 to step 7. Every single time in that career was just to be like, well, what do people want next? And could I try this? I didn't know how to make a PDF. I literally went to a Word doc. I created content, like information that other photographers would want. I exported it as a PDF. I just Googled this. I'm like, how do I make a PDF? And they're like, the easiest step was like a doc to a PDF. And I was like, okay. And then how do I upload a PDF? I'm Googling, how do I upload a PDF? How do I start an online store? These were $19. And within that first year, had made over $100,000 off a $19 PDF. And then all of a sudden, I started realizing that money was a tool. And then the minute we crossed $1 million, I felt like that tool became a knife. And I was so worried about losing what we had created that the tool that I was digging with turned outward. And I'm like, I got to protect it. So I got into my own head and I had to do a lot of work around understanding that if I had built it once, I could lose it all again and do it again better and faster.
Yeah.
I have learned to live with little. I have learned to live with much. And the tool must always be digging in the ground and not facing outward to protect whatever we had.
That's a real entrepreneur. I want to say two things that are really important for people to hear. I actually don't remember the BLS stats off the top of my head, but I do know that only 6% of businesses make it past 7 figures. And the number
it's
for
less
6
than that.
figures,
It's less than that.
for
Karen.
women, it's 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's 4% now of people who are making over $1 million as a business owner in a given year.
That's
gross.
Awesome. So first of all, congratulations to us. High five. The second thing I want to say is I made $90,000, I think, from coaching in my first year in coaching, and that was a fucking fortune. So it's really hard to get to 6 figures, let alone in year one. But overall in business, the vast majority of businesses will fail in their first year. I think it's something like less than 50% actually make more than 6 figures in their tenure. So very, very big respect for getting to that. And that just means that you had a very seriously good product. I said I would probably quote Alex Hormozy here. Alex Hormozy says, and Alex Hormozy, if you don't know who he is, look him up as the broiest bro of all bros, and I love his content. I even like that weird sticker that he has on his nose. He says that there are only 2 reasons that businesses make it or don't make it. Number 1 is your product is good or not good. And number 2, you're either visible or not visible. I think you must have crossed both chasms in that first year.
What I would say is I agree to that 100%. But when you are selling a sophisticated product or service to an uneducated audience, that good is subjective and in the eyes of the purchaser. The market's never wrong. So to other professional photographers, and I'm talking about photography, but if somebody's listening and it's like to anything, to other veterinarians, to other dentists, to other artists, to other poets, whatever it is you do, to other people in your field, you might be horrible, terrible. And I was. The amount of vitriol on the internet talking about my work in the beginning. And now I look back at it and they weren't wrong. Their estimations of my work, of blowing out and the high key and the not in focus and why I shoot a shallow depth of field, all of those were factually correct. I wasn't good to the professionals. And yet I was able to build a 6-figure business when many of them were still working their corporate jobs and trying to take gigs at night. So the difference soon became that I understood that I was able to connect with a consumer on an emotional level so that they can make an intellectual decision. And so we have to understand that oftentimes when people are making a purchase, it's on the back of emotion. So good is good to them. If I understood the market and it was good enough for them, then I had an easier chance getting attention. So where everybody else was zigging, look at the quality of my work and look at my website and portfolio. I went to the complete opposite side. I couldn't even afford a website. I was on a free blog posting my photos and I was just talking about my clients, how special they were, what their story was. And it cut through. It was such a cultural zeitgeist in 2007 to be speaking that way that immediately attention just redirected to the personalization of a sophisticated product to an uneducated audience.
Well, what I really like about this is, again, Alex Hormozy, he always says that what's really the key or the heart of the one offer that gets you to scale is understanding what pain you're solving. So technically, perhaps you were not solving the pain of the meticulous wisher for a perfect photo, but you were serving the person like me who's really looking for meticulous service and really personal delivery. And so if that's the product, and that's what makes it scale.
And one caveat, because oftentimes what I'll see on the back end are people like, oh yeah, but you're an advocate for terrible work. No, I'm an advocate for work that has the opportunity to iterate over time. Because if I had stopped on the back of the negativity or disbelief, that it wouldn't have given myself the opportunity to step in and become a stronger photographer. It was within 4 years that I started getting awards for my work. And so I just want to point there and say, whatever it is you want to do, you will not be good in the beginning.
No.
You will be terrible. And if you stop, then you are defined as terrible. But if you continue to grow and iterate, I'm talking about business, I'm talking about art, I'm talking about services, products, creations, you give yourself the opportunity to step into the fullness of your purpose and monetize on the back of it. But if you stop, you will stay in that place of stasis. But if you continue to iterate, well, then the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I love that you're saying this because that's the heart of mastery. The heart of mastery is the heart of this show. What we really want to teach people is that absolutely no one is good out the gate. I don't care who you are. I hang out with a lot of professional speakers. I'm on the circuit. And let me tell you something. None of us started off good. None of us. Zero. I was so out of my depth when I started speaking professionally that I decided to hire video teams to come film me. Number one, my outfits were fugly and awful, and I regret every single one of them. And number two, I know what I'm like today, 10 years in. What I was like in the beginning, I just wasn't good, period, the end. But I got good. And when you give yourself the grace to get good and you do not quit, that's where all the magic is. Thank you so much for saying that. What was the turning point, you think, when you really start to think, all right, now I'm going to turn this into a marketing business? And then how does it turn into a business strategy, consulting, mastermind, mega empire?
I believe that when you listen carefully to what people are saying, they will tell you the thing you're supposed to create. But that's very difficult. And so I am an advocate. I answer my own DMs. You and I communicated for so long via DM before we ever had each other's phone numbers because I'm in there and I'm deeply understanding. But people will leave comments about your work or they might ask questions. And the minute you start lodging and seeing patterns of questions and you have the ability to create a solution, even if you think it's terrible, even if you think there's thousands of other options, even if you think it's so easy, that's the thing. People will say, well, it's so easy. Well, if it's so easy for you, pay attention. That's a sign that you're in this flow state. That's a sign that if you can make what other people say is difficult and you say, this is easy for me, and then you could teach people how to make it easier for them, you have a business.
Yeah.
That is the whole thing of business, is to solve somebody else's problem. And if it's easy for you, start paying attention. So in the photography world, I was teaching photographers how to become better photographers. But the TAM what was so much smaller, like the total addressable market. Right? I'm serving photographers. And then people outside of my addressable market started asking me questions. And my first answer was complete resistance. No. I can't do that. I only speak to photographers. And then all of a sudden I started asking myself, could I take the same principles that I'm teaching photographers and apply it to businesses? So I was teaching photographers how to market themselves.
Yeah.
And I started, because I'm a big chicken, somebody came to me and said, will you consult for my business? And I didn't even know what consulting was, Karen. And I said, okay, so I went to Google, what's consulting? And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I get paid to tell people what to do? And then the team's going to deploy it? I was like, sure. And then they had said, this is how much we would pay. And I'm like, wait, for an hour a week, you're going to pay me this? I was like mind blown. And so all of a sudden, other people, other small businesses and medium-sized businesses and organizations were coming to me and say, will you consult? So that all of a sudden we had clientele around 7 to 8 people that I was consulting, in addition to the digital arm of the photography business, in addition to the service side of the photography business. Now I was doing consulting. And then I realized I can only take so many consulting clients because there's only so many hours in a week. So I said, I don't want to do that anymore. So I cut that arm of the business, because if you want to introduce something else into your life or business, you actually have to create the space first. Oftentimes why people get so overwhelmed is you have a very full plate and then you want to add something else onto it. It doesn't work like that. The plate can only hold so much because there's only 24 hours in a day. So I cut out the consulting side of the business and I asked myself, is there something that I could do to serve small business owners around what they're asking for? At the time, I was using Instagram. So this is 2015. I was using Instagram to funnel leads into my photography business. I was one of the very first people to do this. And then other people in businesses said, there's this opportunity on this newish platform called Instagram to get business. So I created a course. Now, had I ever created a course? No. Did I know how to create a landing page or get people's emails? No. Have I ever run an ad before? No. Have I ever created a course or uploaded or had PDFs to accompany it? No. And I just did all of it on the back of Google. Let me figure out. And so I created a course for $197, Instagram for Business. It took me about 2.5 months total, 0 to launch, to get that thing going. And in 5 days, we made $255,000.
That's amazing. That's huge volume.
And when you think about, so that blew my mind. And I thought to myself, this was my first step away from just photographers. So we continued launching that course and made over $1 million in that first year. And that's when I started realizing, okay, there's something here about digital education. So we continued offering different courses. And then the courses, people said, the courses are great, but we want something with regularity. So then I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do a membership. I had never done a membership. I didn't know how to do a membership. So here we go again.
Like me, you get invitations and your first instinct is, I don't know about that.
Right.
And you're like, okay, maybe.
Maybe. And we created a membership in 2017 and we kept it open for 5 days. We're like, I don't know if this is going to work. And JD and I said, if we get 500 people to join this monthly membership, that would be amazing. And we were in Cabo San Lucas. We were on vacation. We closed the cart and it's 2,444 people joined in the first 5 days. And I was like, oh my God, it's a sign. So we continued.
Also a very good number.
Why? 4. That's right. That's right. That's right. I saw one of your pieces of content, and you said your parents had always taught you that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 11. See? And so I love that you're always pointing out these numbers and like how important they are. And yes, it is important. Yeah. So what happens in the membership is that there comes a point in time where people are saying, Jasmine, we have to extract content and then upload it to social media. And so in 2020, when I'm a brand new mother, the world is on fire. I'm like, you want to know what? Maybe I should start a tech company that integrates with all social platforms. I had no idea how to do it. I had no idea to get started. So then we go out and that's what we do. And then I realize, okay, I am doing a lot. I need to have presidents under all of these arms, because at that time during the pandemic, people had said she's building tech. She has a lot of experience with marketing. She has a lot of experience with branding. And so it became a distinct value proposition to other tech-based and marketing companies for me to sit as an advisor and help them grow. And I did not want to do consulting again. So in order for me to sit alongside of a company, I'm going to have an equity stake. Yeah. And or I will invest in it as well.
I love that you're saying this. This reminds me a lot of Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, because it's so organic. I know. Mad respect to Gay, and we wish you huge and amazing health. I love him so much. And he listens.
His book changed my life.
His book has changed everybody's life. That Big Leap book, he's written more than 40. And I'm very sorry to say today, unfortunately, his kitty cat, Greta, has left us. Unfortunately, at the age of 12. We have that in common too. So he says that there are two ways to truly understand that you're on the path. Number one is the ease with which you're doing this. So if somebody's coming to you and asking you questions that are easy for you to answer, start looking at this as a very, very big nudge. And the second is fly blind. In other words, you will learn by doing. And when you actually put yourself into that environment and just go for it, you will end up learning how to do it. And your iterations, your evolution has led you through exactly this. I have an idea. I like the idea. I will figure this out.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to point out here, because I always love like a throwback. So Alex Hormozi had two things. Your product is either good or not good, and you either have attention or you don't. And then Gay says, to the degree of which it is easy, and you will fly blind. Yeah, that's so. If people are just looking back at like what key points can I take away with here is like these 4 things in totality, 2 from Hormozi and 2 from Hendricks, can actually be the foundation of a very strong business, even if you don't know what you're building at.
And then also I have to say, I have to give us both snaps for then becoming angelical creatures who take everything that we did learn and then save you the time by teaching it to you. And that's what you're doing now for people. You are saving them the struggle, the strife, the friction, the having to find information, which unfortunately finds you a lot of bad information for many of your first iterations, and compounding that time for them to help them to elevate. That's how the mastermind works, right?
Yes. And Karen, you and I have spoken so much about how you've invested in other programs and coaches. And so what happens is it becomes
very heavily. Thank you very much.
And same here. So last year I had invested, and people thought it was crazy. I invested $50,000 for a 4-month mastermind with Gary Vaynerchuk and Vive. And I heard it from across the board.
A bargain, by the way.
Hello. There was 12 of us in this program. We got to meet with Gary one-on-one. We spent days with him. I'm like, the amount of information that like I spent off the top of his dome, and the way that, because everybody who was willing to pay $50,000 for that 4-month program, for that proximity, you radiated you vibrated at a different level. So Gary was awesome. But what was more awesome was getting a group of myself and 11 other people who were all thinking much bigger and taking much bigger risks and bets. And so us sitting by like a fire late at night being like, okay, what's happening here? Got into the weeds of it. I'm here in Austin because I invested in a tech mastermind, and I was able to go into my coaching program and say, I am in Austin. I am taking a break and I'm showing up to do this because right now I'm on fire. I paid a lot of money. And let me tell you, I'm sitting in the room with people who are doing 80, 90, $100 million, and they're going through the same thing you are. And they're trying to learn the tools now. So let me tell you, as the starting of a journey on the consistent 10K path, get the tools now.
That's right.
If you don't get the tools now, it's going to come back to you in the future. Let's get them now as we build our businesses. And how much did they pay for that? Not what I paid to be in this mastermind.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. And that's exactly right. That's what I want a lot of people to understand. I've learned so much from you, and I've learned so many lessons on how you hire, but also how you live. And they reflect back to me the mastery of almost all the teachers that I know and respect. We are always learning, and everything we learn is for you. That's part of the journey. And now that you're crossing the chasm from 7 figures to 8 figures, you're essentially taking people along on the journey and showing them the ups and the downs. To tell people what they can expect is to do the job enormous service.
I receive that. But what I really want people to also understand is I can't expect them to find value in what I find valuable. I find value in a lot of learning. I'm going to be a student for the rest of my life. And so for me to say, you should be a student for the rest of your life, if you don't find it valuable, but what I need to be able to communicate in my content, in my language, is that while you don't want to be a constant lifelong learner, you have to invest in somebody who is, because that person compresses time.
Absolutely.
Compresses mistakes
Yes.
and lessons for you. And so if we can get on that page, then we're going to do a lot of great things.
I couldn't agree with you more because I am a lifelong learner.
Of course.
In the DISC assessments that I use DISC and motivators to begin for all my corporate training in particular, but also for all my clients to understand where they are on the behavioral spectrum, how best to serve them. Some people are very fast. Some people are very slow.
Right.
We have to find their methodology, but also to find their motivators. Very few people are high theoretical. High theoretical are actual learners, people who truly love knowledge and love to attain knowledge. And I always say to those people who are very low theoretical, you're really lucky you found me, because I will do the reading and the studying for you, and I will synthesize to you what you do need to know.
Ooh, that's good.
And that's the part that makes that compounding of time happening, because I'm indefatigable. I will read every single day for several hours. It's the only thing I truly love other than TV and cats.
Okay, you and I have that also in common. Give me a book.
Give me a book.
Give me a book. Give me a book.
Well, I will give you.
Oh, I know. I saw a gift bag in the front. I was like, the weight of it feels about like a 2.5 books, perhaps.
It feels bookish.
It feels bookish.
I love it. Well, I love your podcast, of course. I especially love the episode with me, which I thought was really marvelous.
Okay, I have to tell you, Karen, I just have to stop right now. I love this. So I need more Karen vibes in my life. You had said, you are so lucky that you have invested in me. I need that sabor. Okay, I need that swag. And then right now you had just said, I particularly love my episode with you. Yes, Karen, if we don't talk about our own stuff.
I've listened to it twice and I thought it was marvelous. I thought it was marvelous. And I also tell you something. I really care about this enormously as a business owner, because no one's going to do the propping up for you. We can be your cheerleaders, but you better like what you do. I am also the first one to say this was garbage. I am objective, I think. For example, the first time I write a talk, I usually, and I record them to listen to them, I usually play them for myself and go, well, that is a pile of poo-poo. But when you record it several times and you start to think, this is actually good. It's okay to say that it's good. You should feel it's good, because otherwise you're not putting a product out there that you're proud of, and you cannot sell something that you're not truly proud of. So I truly am proud of that particular episode. It's a testament to you and to your ability to navigate a conversation masterfully and to also make yourself vulnerable in this conversation. I also love the show in general because that's what you're doing. You're always plucking out things that are truly useful for the listener. This is one of the tools of visibility that have, I think, exponentially grown your brand. For the many people out there who are listening now and thinking, all right, let's talk about the visibility piece too. Let's not just talk about starting the product, starting the business, and scaling the business. Let's also talk about getting visible. Let's get visible, visible. What can you have? What can you offer them that are just a couple of first tenets that will get them on their way and help them do that?
Okay. So whenever I engage in a conversation, I always ask for permission, because I have the tendency energetically to come in like, I know all the things. I literally came from the womb and I looked at my mom. I was like, we could have done that better, right? I just want to be very careful. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have everybody who's listening or watching, I'm going to ask for permission. If you are not ready to put yourself out there at 100%, then you probably are going to want to fast forward the next 8 minutes of this conversation, because what I'm going to say is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. So you have been warned. In 2026, the effectiveness of your communication is in direct proportion to how visible your company will be. And people often have ideas and desires, but they want to put out the business as if it's a mask. And so the mask can be seen, but they themselves cannot. And I just think that with AI being in its infancy at what it is, people don't want more information. They don't want more content. They want more real. And if you begin with real, then content and information becomes a byproduct of how real you are. And so I want to be very careful is that visibility is going to come at the cost of you. If you don't want to pay rent, no problem. This game is not for you. This is a game of complexity and how people make decisions. This goes back to the very first tenet that we started the show with, is people will make emotional decisions around an intellectual idea.
Yeah.
So if people are going to be investing in coaching, in choosing a dentist, in buying a car, they're going to make an emotional component, an emotional plea. So when people are talking about my content isn't being discovered, it's because they can't see the creator behind the creation.
Yeah.
So if you want your business to thrive, and we're not even talking about business. If you want to campaign to be the PTA president, if you want to host an event at your local synagogue, if you want to be the president of the AYSO soccer league, you must be seen. And the minute that people put themselves to be seen, the undercurrent of I'm going to be judged. And then we're going to let somebody else's judgment stop us from what we're going to do. I've just seen too many entrepreneurs. That's my domain. But I also see this with friends. They put themselves out there, and not even with the negativity, the idea of the negativity, this idea that somebody's looking at them and saying, oh, well, pat you on the head, nice business. That's going to stop them. I'm sorry. If somebody else's opinion is going to stop you from starting your business, you didn't want the business. You wanted the accolades of the business.
That's exactly right.
It is the cost of paying rent every single day. I hate making content.
Amen to that.
I hate it. And I do it because the size of my dream is asking me for that.
I got to tell you something. This is the part where I'm a little bit differing with you, because you also make a lot of posts, didn't want to do it, glad I did, about the gym.
Yes.
I want to tell you something. This body doesn't just happen, and neither does a content empire like you. You must like it a little tiny bit. No. You're so good.
Baby girl.
You're so
baby
good
girl.
at it.
Baby girl. And here's the thing. When people say you're so good, you see the end result. But what people don't see is the amount of time it took to get there.
That's true.
I hate going to the gym, Karen, and I hate making content. And the way it looks easy is because the discipline required.
Yeah.
I always say that your actions must map your aspirations. I have big aspirations. I have an empire to build. And if the cost of paying rent is to do something I don't want to do, guess what? There's a bunch of other things I don't want to do in my business. I don't want to overview the funnels. I don't want to have hard conversations. I don't want to set the KPIs. And I do it because the cost of my dream is requiring me of that. Yeah. If I didn't want the dream, then put it down.
That's where the love is. It's the love of the dream. And I actually want to underline what you said, because I recently listened to Tom Billio come on his platform and talk about the importance and the vitality of the podcast format over all other formats, which was something that truly informed me in my desire to do this. You're absolutely right. Whereas 2 years ago, perhaps I was saying to my clients, if you don't want to be visible, that's okay. Let's find something that works better for you. Today, I unapologetically say, well, good luck with that. I'm sorry. I don't know that the business is actually going to make it. If you really have a dream that you love so much, then you will do pretty much anything to make sure that that dream succeeds. Of course, short of unethical or even disrespectful. But you will definitely do absolutely anything you need to succeed, and you'll do it with your own sabor, your own flavor. This is something that I truly respect and admire, and I completely agree with. I began this particular iteration of the Coach podcast thinking, let's just do 10 episodes and then let it go. And then I realized that it's not worth doing. It's not even worth doing the first 10. If you're not going to do this and do it right, my publicist was the one who talked me into it, by the way, Scout, then don't do it at all. You are going to go all in on a journey. And let me tell you, the consistency sure has paid off. And it's paid off because of you guys. Thank you so much again for making this an enormous moment for us. So one of the things that come up again and again and again for many of our coach masters, and I think you might be the best example for me of it, is the importance of having a devoted life partner. You got really lucky. You met him very early in life. What is JD for you?
Oh, everything. Everything. I can't even, like, it's so crazy. I think that there's two sides of me, right? It's like, oh, very focused, go, go, go. And the minute I start talking about him or my daughter, it's just like, I get that little throat tightening. And I don't know.
Me too.
I don't know. So if you're familiar with human design, but an energy, I have an energy center in my throat. And this is where I know when I'm feeling an inflection.
Manifesting generator?
I am.
Of course.
How'd you know?
talking. Guess what I am?
What?
Guess what I am?
Are you a projector?
Of course.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. The people out here don't know what we're talking about. I was like,
They do. Oh, they do know what we're talking about.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
what's the energy?
I have like an energy center in my throat, and whenever I feel like contracting, I know that I need to say it or it is my truth. And so when you ask like, oh, what is JD? And I say he's everything. The man is everything. The man is everything. He is the reason why the business is what it is, and he is the reason why I can step into who I am. He is the reason. You know, a couple of days ago, so I was doing this corporate this mastermind for executive corporate kind of coaching, personal development type thing, and we did breath work at the beginning on first day. We did this heavy breathwork session, and I have done breathwork, but I hadn't done it like this. And a lot of stuff came up for me, and I sat by the pool with my husband and daughter after. And when I expressed what had come up for him, he looked at me and he's like, "I'm so sorry." And I looked at him and I said, "Don't feel sad for me, and please don't pity me." And I saw his face, and he was kind of shocked, and he said, "I'm not pitying you. I'm hurt for you." And I had to sit with that. And for something about it, it didn't hit me, Karen. I was like, what is coming up for me? And so I had immediately to go to the dinner afterwards. And so we spoke for like 10 minutes. He's like, "I don't pity you. I don't pity you. You know that, right?" And I was like, I know. I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, "It's okay. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're good. We're good." And I said, "We're good." So then I go, I get ready, I do the dinner. And of course, I'm queen compartmentalizer. Yeah. Got to go on. It's showtime, baby. Yeah. And so then the next morning at 7 a.m. in the darkness here in Austin, we do another breathwork session. And what comes up for me is so clearly is my husband. And so clearly in my deep, deep, deep subconscious, it was let him love you.
Yeah.
And Karen, he loves me more than I love myself. And that's what came up for me yesterday. I was like, "Do you pity me? Because you're pitying me." He's like, "I'm not pitying you." And what came up for me at this corporate retreat that I'm like supposed to be here for business, what comes up for me is a deep understanding of the depth of his love, inviting me to love myself in that same way. And I'm telling you, it wrecks you. When you have somebody who sees the best in you and wants more for you, it just wrecks you in all of the best ways. So yes.
All of the best ways. And it's also so fundamental, I think. Do you think you could do what you do without him?
Yes, but not as well.
Do you find that his presence is invaluable for the optimal performance?
It is why we made the commitment. I am here for business, and my husband and daughter are with me. I said, I am not me without you. They are my life source.
This is how I feel. I've heard from clients we have in common that he's there at the masterminds helping.
Oh, yeah.
Just being part of it. Yeah. Ryan does that with me too.
He's here today.
And he's here today because
best looking camera operator, assistant, content creator there is.
I love my little Paco. And I know I could do this myself. I have done. I only met Ryan when I was 40, but man, does he make life easier. And I really believe that for those of us who are doing this, and when you are fast forwarding to 7 steps down the line in business scaling, look at the people you admire. Many of them have a very, very strong and very supportive spouse. It just makes things easier. It's not necessary, but boy, does it make life a lot smoother. If you
find yourself somebody who believes in the dream just as much as you do, and you will get there faster. And then if you are in a relationship, I'm deeply empathetic for a lot of entrepreneurs who are in relationships that they don't have that partner. And it's okay too. You will succeed and you will do it. But I also challenge and invite people to ask for what they want from their partner. Now, whether or not their partner reciprocates and gives it to them, that's fine, but you've stated it instead of carrying it, because it becomes almost like this internal poison that we continue. Well, he or she's not showing up for me. He or she's not showing up for me. Have you stated it? And then if they set their parameters, like, I'm not going to be there for you in that capacity, then you can go and just like, okay, I have a fact now. I don't have a feeling. That's and to exactly me, right. Like as entrepreneurship, you want to move all feelings as much as possible, have them be grounding, but don't have them dictate the decisions you make in your business.
Data first.
That's right.
I completely agree with you. I also think this is the premise that Dr. Kristen Neff herself, the mother of self-compassion, came and talked about here. That's what we talk about when we talk about boundaries. Boundaries are not the standards that you have to uphold, but they are standards I have to express. And that's a very wonderful thing to do because clarity is everything, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you also mentioned that you have a beautiful, perfect little girl that I had the great privilege of meeting, who's another cat person like me. And I read in a couple of your posts that you were homeschooled and now you're homeschooling her.
Oh, yeah.
Is that correct?
It is. But this one is slightly different. So my mom homeschooled all 5 of her children 100%. So we're homeschooling, but we're also doing an enrichment program, very like crunchy granola, so she can hang out. So I have a lot of siblings and Luna's our only child. And so we wanted to make sure that she was getting child interaction. So she goes for 2.5 hours Monday through Thursday. And then we do the other homeschooling.
That helps probably, because my question is about balance. There are many people who are going to be listening here who are parents who are going to say, all right, but I have other obligations. What do you do with the other obligations?
Well, I want to be very clear here too, is please don't look at me as a metric or look aspirationally. I intentionally really shy away from creating parenting style content because we have a very atypical structure in our home. And I would never expect that to be the norm. So what I'll preface it by saying this works for us. And we just don't really care what anybody else has to say about it. So for us, JD a year and a half ago said that he would like to step back from the business and step more into being a fully present primary caretaker of our daughter. Now, this is against the traditional standard roles that most genders take in a relationship, but we know who we are and we know what we value. And he has been 100%, I would say like 98% hers. And so when it comes to homeschooling, he's taking the lead. And when it comes to parent volunteers, he is taking the lead and he loves it. And the moms at the school just love him. Like they come in like, oh, JD's here. Great. You know? And so that's atypical. That's atypical. He does, we do sharing of cooking. We do sharing of, I would say we do sharing of grocery shopping. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't remember the last time I went grocery shopping.
I don't either. And by the way, I do zero of the cooking. That is for the benefit of the household.
I mean, and when I say cooking, it's definitely a stretch because I'll like, so this is what I'm planning to make for dinner. Look at me chop. And I'll do it incorrectly because JD loves a good Julian style. Like, and then he's like, let me show you. I was like, oh, gee, thanks.
Respect.
You know? So, yes, it's atypical. And what I want, what is a high value for me is to be around my daughter and make sure that we are her primary formulators to shape her in her early years. And so while I am a mother who will give my life for my child during the working day, I am an entrepreneur who's a mom. I'm not a mom who's an entrepreneur during the working day.
I love that.
And I feel like I want people to step into that. But preschool, like in the beginning of the day, I'm full on mom. At lunchtime, I'm full on mom. And dinner, bedtime, all that, I'm full on mom. But during the workday, JD knows if I have a meeting, if I have anything to do in the business, if it's just me sitting in my room by myself thinking and ideating about the business, that is the priority because I'm an entrepreneur who's a mom. I am not a mom who's an entrepreneur. And sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but it works for us and we're fully supportive of that decision.
I love that. And I really love the message to absolutely everyone, which is make your own situation work for you and find the balance in any way that you can find the balance for you. But also the overriding desire is the overriding desire. And I always say to people, if you really want this, you're going to make it work.
That's right.
Period. The end. You're going to make anything work. I have as many hours in the day as Beyonce has. And if she can do all that, then I can probably manage to do 1/10 of it.
Yes, but we have to be real though. Like as women, like we tell these stories, like we jokingly, there's the Beyoncés. And then also we see these other beautiful, amazing mothers on Instagram and Beyonce has assistants. And Beyonce has like leverage. And so I don't want to like paint something that is not there. We get a lot of support. We have familial support. We invest in people cleaning our homes and we invest in people doing our yard work. And so to me, like there are some women who look at that and say, oh, that's what I aspire to. But without getting the support, remember, we all have full plates. What are we going to get rid of in order to make space and time for other things? So yes, I mean, we all want to be Beyonce. And like my goal is to ultimately do all the things that she's doing. But I also understand where I'm going to need support to do that.
Well, I think you will.
Yes.
And I think you'll make that support work for you. And it's my hope that everybody's inspired to rise to what they truly want and make that work for them.
Absolutely.
In addition to your polish and success, I really appreciate that you've sort of set aside the curtain so people could see things that were a bit more surprising and a bit more real. What do you think would surprise people about the road to success? What should they know?
What should they know? Okay. On the road to success, it will be pockmarked with the most painstaking and eye-opening experiences. On the road to success, you will find yourself crying alone. in your bed or on the bathroom floor late at night. You will find yourself waking up before the sun rises, questioning the things that you should be doing. You will experience the most ecstatic highs, and then less than minutes later, experience a tragic low. You will be the best version of yourself, and you will be the worst version of yourself. And every single day, the day that you decide you won't quit, you will be better for it. It will be so incredibly hard, and it will be so incredibly rewarding.
Well, I don't know about everybody out there, but I am very inspired. It's the truth of the journey. It's brutal and it's beautiful. It just is. I think it's also a lot of fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I'm also delighted that you haven't traded it for anything in the world. This conversation has been an absolute privilege. We're going to link every way to get in touch with you, your website, your podcast.
Thank you.
What else would you like to share with the listener? What do you think can really get them started, get them going?
Well, Karen, I love getting DMs. I love talking to people. I like seeing people on their journey. And, have you ever had somebody come to you and say something to you that you know to be true, but it's also surprising to hear?
Yeah.
In the last probably 3 months, a few people randomly will text me or call me or send me a DM, and they're like, Jasmine, I'm in a bad place. Can you just tell me something? That's the most random thing to me, Karen. Like, truly the most random thing. And I said, okay, well, what's going on? And then they might say X, Y, or Z. And it comes so clear that almost like I can channel. I was like, it's this, it's this. I think I have the power of words to make people believe in something that they know to be true, but they're not giving themselves the permission to do it. Yeah. And so I want to be on shows like yours because you have cultivated this beautiful audience of people who know they have potential. And it's one thing to know, and then it's another thing to do, and an entirely other thing to believe. And so if I can get into the space where I will hold the space and I will believe that the impossible is possible because I've seen it myself. I am unqualified. I am uneducated. I am unfunded. And yet I've been able to do these things. I am the most person that nobody would be betting on to succeed. And then I look back and be like, it was impossible. And then it became possible because I only held the belief.
That's right.
And people here need the belief. And so if you don't believe, send Karen and me a DM. Tag us on social. We will be like, we see you, we got you, but you got to move. Yeah. So I'll believe for you, then you got to do it.
The biggest thing that a teacher can give anyone is unwavering and unshakable faith. And you have unwavering and unshakable faith, and people can borrow that by osmosis. My hope is that the audience, and they're beasts in beast mode, make no mistake, I know who the audience is, are finally ready to hear and to receive a teacher who can truly help them and consult them on the practicalities and the truth about business and giving them the ability to scale properly. This is not something that I do. This is something that I hire out. I am not, well, obviously I'm a projector. I'm not a thinker in that dimension at all. I care about different things. And so if you're hearing something today that is finally hitting a nerve for you, that finally looks like this is the path I've been looking for, the teacher I've been looking for, it's my honor and pleasure to reveal you to them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this deeply enriching and really beautiful, personal, vulnerable, honest conversation about business, about life, and about teaching. I can't wait to have you on again. If you, listener, have loved this episode, and I hope you have, please give us a subscribe. Make sure to give us a review. It makes an enormous difference for the ability to create this content and bring this for you. I hope you feel right and coached, and I'm going to see you next time. Thanks again, Jasmine.
Thank you, Karen. I adore you. Thank you.